Well, we got our both calipers and line attached, and I pushed the pistons in. I was trying to decide if I want to take this whole thing apart, but these move good. Like I can feel they're still greased in there. I don't know if I want to tear all that down or not. What I think I am going to do is crack these banjos loose. I do have some fresh crush washers because when I pressed the pistons down, it dried to that color, but it was looking pretty nasty. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so after seeing that, I do want to just pull the piston. I might as well, because that's not good. It just smells weird. It smells kind of like a dog with like a yeast infection in its ears. I messaged this guy and asked him if there's any stripped bolts because the pictures kind of sucked. He never responded. That looks brand new, like no one has ever taken that off. Same for that one. I guess before we get too deep, let's see if the bleeders snap off. Okay. Don't like that. I really don't want to heat this stuff up. Perfect. That's looking good. Nice. Nice. Okay, so what we need to do is pull the pads out. I'm going to pull this big one out, and before I do this, what I'm going to do is spray WD-40 right here, because when this starts spinning, it can spin that. It's going to spin that boot most likely, and that boot can be stuck on either piece, and I don't want this boot to rip. it goes. Did you see it? It started moving. Yeah, if you get too violent with that, I can rip that little boot. All right, and there is a washer that goes in between this piece and this piece. So now, oh yeah, I should probably pull these pads out first. Got a little ahead of myself. There should be like a spring piece inside of here, putting tension on these pads. There's the spring piece up in there. Okay, now we can take this piece. Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't good, but it wasn't bad. So I'll push that out. Looks good. Okay, and then I'm going to take some air and I'm going to blow this crap out, and then we'll blow this piston out next. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these pads back in here so it's not so violent. Probably need to put one of these bleeders back in too. Now when we put air in here, it's going to push that piston out at a very fast rate. Or not, it can do it at once. There it comes. Okay, so now we're bottomed out on the pad. We're going to get rid of one pad. And this can like blow brake fluid all in your face, so you should have a face shield on. When you get to this point, just point it downward. There it was. And let's see how nasty it was in there, which it's not. That's good. You can see though right there, that white stuff on that O-ring. That's the scraper ring. I'm going to see if I can pull them O-rings out of there, and I'll clean this thing really, really, really good. You can take these boots out. This one, you kind of squish and twist. Once again here, let's put a little WD-40 around this. Squish and twist. And then this one just has a lip like that. So once we get these two O-rings out, we could do pretty much anything with this. We could ultrasonic, clean it, spray it, do whatever. So I'm going to do that. I guess I'll show you if I'm feeling like these O-rings are going to come out. I'm just going to use a pick, and I'm just going to touch them and see if they act like they want to come out. This one will come out. So that one came out. You do not want to spray these with brake cleaner or anything. So let's go over here where it's not all crunchy. Alright, let's get a razor blade. We're going to go in right at the edge. Trying to get under it. Alright, we moved it a little bit. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, see, she was a little crunchy. So we'll get that all cleaned up. I'll just clean this up with like WD-40. And then this, I can take this and I'll get this groove clean with the wire wheel on the Dremel. And probably just blast this with some brake cleaner, some chlorinated brake cleaner, then some non-chlorinated afterwards. And this, if I see anything on here that doesn't come off just rubbing it, I'll take this in here and I'll use one of those like SOS pads on the Dremel and clean it up. But it looks like, yeah, see like that spot right there. I'll try to get all that stuff off there so it slides really good on the, there it goes, it's coming off with the razor blade. This does have a finish on it, so you don't want to be too aggressive. But I want this to be perfect so it slides really good, especially since we're going to be cleaning and greasing all this stuff. I don't think I needed to show you this on the other one because of the way it kind of pushed through, but this boot here needs to be lifted like that. This is just going to crinkle up and get in a bind if you try to push that through. I'm not sure how the other one pushed through, but if it doesn't start pushing through real easy, then you need to do this. Because it is going to have a hard spot where if you force it, it can shear that O-ring. Might even need to spin it like this. There we go. But what it's doing is that lip in there. It's getting hung up on that lip right there, locking it in. Everything is cleaned up. I got these nice and pretty. I ended up just using a wire wheel on the Dremel at low RPM. Got those shined up real nice. You put these seals in, you want to put brake fluid on them. There's brake fluid in this thing from something else I was doing. That one in there. These scraper seals had some pitting on them. but I don't think it's going to matter. I honestly think it's better we got that off, because that just means it was probably swelling up, which is going to make your brakes drag. There we go. I'm going to put these bleeders and banjos in just to try to close up some holes to keep it from being contaminated. Got some fresh crush washers ready to go. Alright, next thing we're going to do is put our little boots on. We're going to get this ready. Synthetic brake grease. This is not regular grease. Somebody out there might get mad, but it is not the same. Absolutely not the same. And figure out which way this goes on. Let me blow these out first. So this has got the little bigger end going towards the pads. Just gonna squish it in there and twist like that. And I think that's probably clean, but I'm gonna wipe it off anyway. You don't need a crazy amount. I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to take this little screwdriver and walk it around in there and make sure the best I can that it's touching all sides. And then we're going to put a little bit on that lip. And then that lip goes in there. Like so. And then we want plenty of grease in that groove. We basically want that groove filled. This one you can't really overdo it. It'll squish out where it doesn't like. Okay, so here's something you gotta watch for. Right there, it pushed that seal out. There it goes, now it went back in. we go, now it's good. I'm going to put some grease up in this boot a little bit better, because it doesn't look like much made it in there. It's okay to just get it everywhere. You can just wear this stuff to bed. I'm going to push it down far, that way it gets in that little groove right there. Oop. Just like that. That's what we want. And then we'll put a little bit on this, not on the end, because you're going to like hydro lock that boot if you put too much on the end. And then you want to make sure you get the suction or the pressure out of there, so when you push this in and it's pushing itself back out, you want to wiggle it around until it's not pushing itself back out. And then get your little washer. We're going to make it to where it's like a cereal bowl. I don't know what that's supposed to torque to, but it's a big bolt. It's tight. Okay, so now this should move very easily. And it does. So now we can wipe off some of that excess and put the pads on there. Alright, we got some brake pads. Oh, sorry, wrong side. Got some brake pads. The good old Cal trick. Where would we be without Cal trick? Semi-metallic for the mud. You know how we do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this brake grease and I'm going to put it on this piston face. I'm also going to take some and put it on these guide pins or brake pad retainer bolts. If you're wondering why, we can just look at these old ones to see why. So where it touches and it wears the coating off, maybe it won't rust as long. Look at that. That's an OEM pad. Nissan. That's an OEM pad. It's still got meat on it. I might throw that in the scrap pile that I keep. Not the scrap pile that I get rid of. Okay, and then fish one down in there. Ooh, that's party foul. That's party foul. Can't be having that. Alright. So most likely we're going to have to push on these pads. I don't know if I can give you the whole angle, because it's got that that spring piece in there. So you gotta push downward on them. not going to tighten the hell out of these, and you should not either. We're going to go one click, half a second on each. Then all we got left to do is take our little cap, put our little cap back on there. Make sure everything still feels like it's moving good. And that one's ready to go. Okay, now we're gonna disconnect all this stuff. And it's gonna make a little bit of a mess. We need to take off this bolt that's holding it on there, and then that fitting. There wasn't very much room to get a shot, so we're definitely gonna put this on like this, since it's already like this. We need to find something to get in there and clean that, and then we'll put this on, and then we'll attach each caliper. Alright, got everything installed proper. I didn't even have these before. And there is a left and a right for this hose because of the little curve to go in between there. So yeah, got them looped up, mounted, got that on. What I'm going to do is just gravity bleed it. So what we're going to do is just loosen that one. Loosen that one. Put that in there, and maybe do a little bit of this. Nothing too crazy. I don't know if this style it'll squirt to the ceiling or not. But just keep working that down until it's leaking out of here. And when it starts leaking out of here, then we go to the next step. We're going to wait for that to be a stream. Like, I thought it was like that. So that's pretty good. We're just going to go ahead and tighten that, because what we want to do see, this one's still got quite a bit of air coming through. We want to compress this piston a little bit. I found it's harder to bleed whenever that piston's like all the way back. Sometimes it just doesn't want to bleed right. So we're going to go ahead and close that one. And then let's make sure we didn't run out. Put a little bit more in there. And then we're going to squeeze this and try to get this to move in. There it goes. Oh, she's a squirter. Wasn't paying attention. And that one looks good too. So we can actually, we don't have to do any fancy stuff. We're not going to. We'll actually just loosen them back up and finish letting them bubble a little bit. I don't see any more bubbles in that one. Don't see any bubbles in that one either. Okay. Well, let's put the cap on and see if we got pressure. It might be that easy, huh? Alright, we got like half of a lever of pressure, so instead of grabbing all the tools out, if I stretch really hard,